welcome along to Transfer Talk.
Now, a reminder of the big breaking news. Manchester United have made an official bid worth just under £74 million to RB Leipzig for striker Benjamin Sesko. The fee is an initial £65 million plus around £8.9 million in performance-related add-ons. We're going to go to Keith Downey, who is still at the Newcastle United training ground and joined us live now. Keith, what can you tell us? What does this fresh bid mean and the knock-on for Newcastle?
Yeah, well, I've been saying all day, really, haven't I, that Newcastle, I think I've been internally a little bit concerned that Manchester United come to the table and then Benjamin Sesko potentially favours a move to Manchester United. And as you rightly say, Julia, that offer was made by Manchester United, totalling €85 million. So €75 million up front plus €10 million in performance-related add-ons, which is actually short of Newcastle's offer that was made last night. Newcastle offering around about £5 million more, £80 million up front with £10 million in performance-related add-ons. So as it stands, Newcastle have offered a little bit more up front and a little bit more in total, but Manchester United have come to the table, and one source continues to maintain to us that the player favours a move to Manchester United. We're told that he's open to both moves, and it's not that he's against the move to Newcastle United, but if it came to a choice between the two, according to this one source, Manchester United would be the choice. Now remember, we have yet to hear back from Leipzig as to whether they've accepted Newcastle's 80 plus €10 million offer last night, and of course we are yet to hear if they have to accept this one from Manchester United as well. But it would be surprising if they accept a lower bid and not the higher one from Newcastle United that was made last night. So it's all becoming a bit of a confusing situation, but I think internally here in Newcastle they were given some encouragement in the last 24 hours that the player would be up for moving to Newcastle, but there was also that concern that perhaps that was just to smoke out the formality from Manchester United to stoke out that interest with a formal bid, and it looks as though that is what has happened today, and it feels from certainly the noises that we're hearing that Leipzig will leave it up to the player to decide. So, look, we've not heard the last of this one. I think there'll still be a bit more negotiating to come. But Newcastle, I told you about an hour ago, were the only club at the table for Benjamin Sesko. Now, Manchester United have followed up that interest with a formal bid of their own. And while it doesn't quite match Newcastle United, it feels like it leaves the player with a decision to make.
Yeah, and as you say, a big one for Sesko to make Newcastle or Manchester United. How much of a blow, Keith, would it be for Newcastle if they do miss out on another key target this window?
Yeah, look, it would be a hammer blow for Newcastle. It's been a bit of a disaster transfer window for them. There's a long list of players that they've got quite far down in terms of negotiations with, only to find that they choose to go elsewhere. You know, I can go through them all. Hugo Ekitike, who of course gone to Liverpool. João Pedro went to Chelsea. Liam Delap went to Chelsea. Manchester United themselves have already taken Brian Mbeumo. Newcastle thought they had a chance there. Dean Howson, the Bournemouth central defender, went to Real Madrid. There's a number of players who Newcastle felt they had a chance of signing, but have gone elsewhere. The fact they've got to this stage with Sesko, and it's a player that they've admired for a long time, and it feels as though the options available to Newcastle in that striking department are getting less and less. This one will really hurt if he goes to Manchester United instead, because the Man United front three next season of Cunha and Mbeumo and potentially Sesko, if he makes the move, would be a front three that Newcastle would have loved to have had. So, look, it's been a really, really difficult window, but look, it's still alive. Newcastle's offer remains on the table. It's not been rejected. neither is Manchester United, and I'll say it again, Newcastle's offer is more. So that just adds another layer of intrigue to this ever-developing story.
Yeah, Keith, you've mentioned just how tough the window has been. Does that mean, do you think Newcastle might go beyond what they wanted to pay to try and get Sesko?
I think they probably already have, Julia, if I'm honest with you. I mean, that's a lot of money as far as Newcastle United are concerned. Remember, their club record was the 58 plus 5, 63 million total that they paid for Alexander Isak 3 years ago. So this offer is essentially £70 million plus round about £8.5 million in add-ons. So almost £80 million the total. So it would smash their club transfer record. That is the offer that's on the table with RB Leipzig. So I think that shows how much Newcastle want to sign the player. I'm sure they'd probably make him the highest earner at the club as well. So look, they're throwing everything at it. They're making it clear to Sesko they want him here, in the knowledge, of course, that they've got a player in the shape of Alexander Isak who's agitating to leave. And of course, you have to remember, if Sesko chooses Manchester United rather than Newcastle United, that then will have a knock-on effect as to the future of Alexander Isak. Liverpool had an offer for him rejected by Newcastle on Friday, £110 million plus add-ons. My understanding is that Newcastle will not allow Alexander Isak to leave the football club until they have got what they believe is a like-for-like replacement, and Sesko is that. And coupled with that, Liverpool make an offer that Newcastle can't refuse. And of course, they refused that one last week. So this isn't just about Sesko and Newcastle and Sesko and Manchester United. This is also about Isak in Newcastle and Isak in Liverpool as well. So yeah, it's a very complicated situation, and that has just added a real, extra dimension of drama to it. The fact that Manchester United have come to the table and made that offer, €75 million plus 10, following in Newcastle's offer last night, which was €80 million plus 10.
It is all very complicated, Keith. Thank you for explaining that to us. Now you can catch a full roundup on the transfer show at 5 and then 7 p.m. here on Sky Sports News.
Get to the numbers wanted by Leipzig, but the bid is a really important bid. And then Benjamin Sesko himself, because Sesko has to make a final official decision, but the feeling of those internally at Manchester United, important people at Manchester United, is that Sesko was waiting for them. And this is why they decided to present an official bid. They decided to enter very strong in the race on this Tuesday. So now the Benjamin Sesko story is absolutely ongoing. Over the weekend we had reports that he decided to go to Newcastle. Trust me, Man United would never bid if they already heard that the player agreed everything with Newcastle. And probably the deal was already done if we really agreed with Newcastle on Saturday when we had that rumor. At the same time, Newcastle are still on the table. Newcastle are waiting, Newcastle are hoping, Manchester United involved, and so let's follow the situation. But for sure, Benjamin Sesko saga is now entering into absolutely crucial stages. And so guys, let me know your thoughts on all these stories because there are many points, many details of this Benjamin Sesko story. So I'm curious about your opinion. I'm reading you in the comments. Where should he go? Manchester United or Newcastle? Why should he join one club or the other? And also, what do you expect to happen? At the end, it's going to be Red Devils or it's going to be Magpies? So let me know your opinion, guys. Here in the comments. Remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. See you soon. Wait for Fabrizio. Ciao. Manchester United enter in scene. And Manchester United present an official bid, as bid revealed today. The bid is €75 million plus €10 million in advance. So €85 million package from Manchester United after €90 million package from Newcastle United. Let's clarify some points. Manchester United bid 75 plus 10, 85, includes a part of these add-ons being really easy to reach. You remember what I told you for Victor Gyökeres earlier this summer? Sometimes in the transfer market world it's very easy to go and say numbers like 20 million euros, 10 million euros, 15 million euros add-ons. But then the add-ons can be very easy to reach, so almost guaranteed, maybe when you play, I don't know, just for example, 5 games, 10 games, 15 games. Maybe can be quite easy to reach when you score 10 goals, 20 goals, 30 goals with the club. Or maybe can be very difficult to reach, like win the Champions League, win the Premier League, or whatever. In some cases are even like win the Ballon d'Or, or these sort of things. So add-ons is not meaning guaranteed money. Can be almost guaranteed in some cases, can be easy in some cases, can be difficult in other cases. In this Manchester United proposal, the main part of the add-ons are quite easy to reach. That's the description of those involved in the deal. So 75 plus 10 with quite easy main part of these add-ons as part of the package. Why Manchester United bid? First point, a message to RB Leipzig. Okay, after spending 2 weeks talking, after spending 2 weeks telling you, okay, we are gonna bid at some point, they wanted to show that now, after Newcastle sending that kind of bid, they are serious, they are really in the race, they are not just playing with that one. Second message to Newcastle, okay, you are bidding, but we also have the money. We are also in the race. Your bid is higher, because Newcastle bid now is higher, but Manchester United want to show that they can compete. Third point, the crucial one, the player. Newcastle wanted to show to Benjamin Sesko that while Newcastle are pushing like crazy, Manchester United are ready to enter into the race. But remember what I always told you, Manchester United will only bid if they feel the player wants to join them. And what's important to mention is that sources at Manchester United on Tuesday morning guarantee that their feeling is that the deal between Benjamin Sesko and Newcastle is not done yet, because the player is waiting for Manchester United move. Was waiting for Manchester United move, was because now the bid is on the table and Man United are officially part of this conversation, but Manchester United feel that Sesko was waiting for them. And this is why they decided to enter into action and to send that proposal. One of the reasons why they decided to send that proposal. So now the battle is really ongoing. With 2 bids on the table, we have to test the patience of Newcastle, who have obviously spent many days waiting for Benjamin Sesko to decide, putting on the table a very big proposal, putting on the table for the player a very big contract. So Newcastle absolutely remain at the table at the moment, but they want an answer as soon as possible. After what happened with Ekitike, who was close to Newcastle and then joined Liverpool, after what happened with Brian Mbeumo earlier in the window, after what happened with João Pedro, who was a target for Newcastle and decided to go to Chelsea, they want an answer from Benjamin Sesko. They want to resolve this situation as soon as possible. So that's the point. Also important to mention, guys, that obviously this point for Newcastle will be really important to understand also the future of Alexander Isak. Because Alexander Isak and Liverpool deal is on hold in this moment, waiting for Newcastle to communicate. If Newcastle sign Benjamin Sesko, can be way easier for Liverpool to return to the table, bid and get Alexander Isak. Because if Sesko goes to Newcastle, for sure Liverpool will be back at the table and will bid again for Isak. Despite they told you they will not bid anymore. They will bid if Newcastle open the doors. But if Benjamin Sesko goes to Manchester United and Man United feel internally that he's waiting for them, well, in that case, obviously for Newcastle could be different. They will look for a new striker on the market, but to find a striker now, almost 20-23 days to the end of the transfer window, and to find him to replace a top player like Alexander Isak is not going to be something easy. So let's see what's going to happen there. But now Manchester United at the table with a big proposal. Now, crucial factors. The first one, what the player will decide to do, because Benjamin Sesko at the moment has not communicated, okay, I only want to go to that club. Man United believe.
Man United make £74 million bid for RB Leipzig striker Sesko. Manchester United have made a bid for RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Sesko, with the overall package potentially rising to €85 million, £73.8 million. The offer includes a guaranteed payment of €75 million, £65.2 million. The Red Devils are yet to get a response, but believe it is an appropriate valuation for the 22-year-old Slovenia forward, and that he is keen to move to Old Trafford. Newcastle United also want Sesko, and have made a bid in the region of €80 million, £69.5 million, as they continue negotiations with Leipzig. The offer from Manchester United is seen as significant, as there had been suggestions they did not want to firm up their interest with Leipzig without knowing the forward was prepared to join them. Manchester United are willing to let Rasmus Højlund leave the club in order to make space for Sesko to come in. Sesko has 39 goals in 87 appearances for Leipzig, and at 6 feet 5 inches, he would also bring a significant physical presence to the Old Trafford club's front line. Manchester United sources have previously outlined how it is possible for them to reach an agreement on Sesko, even though Sir Jim Ratcliffe said earlier this year there was the potential for the club to go bust by Christmas without massive cost-cutting measures. Payment arrangements for the deals for Matheus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo from Wolves and Brentford this summer, which total £130 million, have been arranged in a favourable way. In addition, the entirety of Marcus Rashford's £325,000 a week salary is being covered by his loan move to Barcelona, and Manchester United received £5 million from Chelsea after the Blues pulled out of a deal to sign Jadon Sancho. Manchester United have also received more than £15 million in payments as part of sell-on clauses involving Anthony Elanga, Alvaro Carreras, and Maxi Oydiel. Why do Man United and Newcastle want Sesko? Since moving to Germany, Sesko is the top scorer currently aged under 23 in all competitions, of players based in Europe's top 5 leagues, with 39 goals in 87 games. He is one ahead of Real Madrid's Jude Bellingham and 5 clear of Florian Wirtz, who joined Liverpool from Bayer Leverkusen for £100 million this summer. Sesko is big, strong, quick, good in the air and a fine finisher, and has been compared to Erling Haaland, and not just because they both played for Salzburg. As well as being a goalscorer, last season he was more of an all-rounder, with just 9.7% of his touches coming in the opposition box, compared with 17% the season before. He got involved more on both wings and further back into midfield. He was one of the fastest strikers in the Bundesliga, at 35.7 km per hour, and had the best aerial success rate of strikers involved in at least 60 of them. Only 6 forwards have scored more goals in the Bundesliga in the past 2 seasons, even though Sesko is 16th for expected goals, 14th on shots and 22nd on touches in the opposition box, and he is lethal from long range too, with 36.8% of his shots and 23.1% of his goals coming from outside the box. Both are higher than any Bundesliga striker to score 12 or more goals last season. A recruitment specialist working at the highest level recently said, "I think the physicality of the Premier League won't overawe him. The Bundesliga is one of the big 3 in the world, but when you look at transitioning into big leagues, he has the physical capabilities to do it. You wouldn't expect him to hit the ground running straight away, but in 6 to 12 months, he will be fine, and you've got yourself a very good player." Manchester United submit offer for RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Sesko. Manchester United have submitted a bid of €75 million plus €10 million in add-ons for RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Sesko. The offer reflects Manchester United's valuation of the player, and the club's belief is he wants to move to Old Trafford. Leipzig are yet to respond to the Premier League club's proposal. Manchester United were prioritising a move for the 22-year-old forward if they were to sign another striker this summer, and had made informal contact with the Bundesliga club. Manchester United's offer comes after The Athletic reported on Monday that Newcastle United had submitted an improved bid for the striker. Their opening bid of €75 million plus €5 million in add-ons was deemed insufficient by Leipzig, leading Newcastle to increase it to at least Euro 80m. Newcastle have a long-standing interest in Sesko, with the club's pursuit of him coming amid last season's top scorer Alexander Isak expressing a desire to leave. Liverpool had an initial £110 million bid for Isak rejected. Manchester United have already strengthened in forward areas this summer with the additions of Mateus Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers and Brian Mbeumo from Brentford. Ruben Amorim's side also admired Aston Villa forward Ollie Watkins and explored the costs of a potential deals when considering a move for Sesko. The Manchester United hierarchy was reluctant to pay what they thought it may have taken for Villa to consider doing business. Sesko scored 21 goals in all competitions last season for Leipzig and has recorded 39 goals and 8 assists in 87 appearances for the German club since signing from RB Salzburg in 2023. His Leipzig contract runs until 2029. Arsenal also previously held an interest in the forward, but signed Victor Gyökeres from Sporting CP in an initial €63.5 million deal this summer. Chelsea had admired Sesko for several years, but opted to sign Liam Delap and João Pedro this window. Why are Manchester United targeting Sesko? Analysis from the Athletic's Manchester United correspondent Carl Anker. The 22-year-old Slovenian striker may be the biggest, roughest and shiniest diamond operating towards the top of Europe's top 5 leagues. This summer marks the third time Manchester United have been interested, first assessing him in 2019, when he emerged at NK Domžale's senior team at 16, before monitoring him throughout the 2022-23 season, when he scored 16 goals in 30 games in the Austrian Bundesliga for Red Bull Salzburg. In 2025, he has developed into a sledgehammer of a striker. He combines straight-line speed, powerful finishing and sheer blood-mindedness to become a forward that centre-backs hate playing against. A speedy, 195 centimeters per 6 feet 5 inches striker, who spent a brief period tearing up the Austrian league before moving to the Bundesliga. Sesko has earned some comparisons to Erling Haaland. Sesko is not quite at that level, but has plenty of the raw materials to suggest he could reach it. His shot map from 2023 to 24 illustrates a striker happy to go for goal wherever and whenever. Left foot, right foot, headers, long-range cannons and plenty of pingers within the penalty box. Sesko is a striker with sky-high potential, but there is a considerable risk when signing such a player for a club like Manchester United. He has the physical tools to adjust to life in the Premier League, but no one knows for sure whether he will have that above-shoulders temperament to deal with the scrutiny of life at Old Trafford.